Alright, so after taking a few days to kind of gather my thoughts, see how I really felt, and let the initial interaction with the movie settle down and stew in my mind, I'm now going to review Evil Dead Burn, which, I'll just get straight to the point. I did not like this movie. It was not good. And it seems like I'm not in the minority with that opinion, which is nice. But let's get into why I don't like it. If you haven't seen the movie, the short and sweet of it, I guess not to spoil anything, is um, there's an evil spirit it's in the world. It comes back into the world, and now the focal point of this film, which is the sixth one within the Evil Dead series, it's about a dysfunctional family who loses a son, and then dynamic internal issues between the members of the family now have to compete with this evil entity. So now, spoilers, it's a movie focused on a French girl who was abused by her husband, but the family saw the husband, who is their son, as this like perfect, no can do no wrong kid who she's always been the issue and he's always been perfect. And then as the movie unfolds, that comes to light. So my primary issue with this movie is that I don't feel like the focus is on the Deadites and the evil creatures from within the book. This feels like a personal vendetta type of film where they want to explore more of the family aspect and that dynamic of like the issues and just the stuff you don't hear about that pops up with family circumstances. So that to me was a huge problem because I'm not here to see how this family unfolds because they have, traumatic pasts and they're bad people. And this French girl is struggling to deal with the family and blah blah blah. I'm here for monsters and, killings and stuff. So I've got some notes and I'll just kind of go through it and I'll explain some as I go. Before I even read the notes. So Evil Dead Burn, obviously the end of that means that a lot of this is going to focus on burning, which is really, really, really lazy to me. One of the earliest deaths that we see, there's two kids out on a lake. One gets killed. I guess you really don't even see it. Something happens under the water and then his bottom half is gone. They don't show it, which is another issue I have with this movie. Then the second kid, the title being Burn, the Deadite makes the water get really, really hot and it burns him to death. But he somehow was able to swim out of the water and then he died from his skin and his body being burned or melted or whatever. So there's that. Then the next death we have is the oldest son who's married to the French girl who's the main character of this movie. He hits the Deadite with the car tumbles and rolls, and then it catches fire. Again, he's burned. Burning is a lazy way to die in any horror movie because it's the same result. You're just melting. No matter which way in which you are burned, you are just melting. So his death is just fire, which is like projected in front of the vehicle. Obviously they're not going to burn the real actor, but like that doesn't look good. The camera's kind of shaky and he's just screaming in the car, and then we don't actually see him die. You don't see anything really shift on him. He just dies and then it cuts. That is annoying. And later in the movie we see another character lay their face on
brother, this guy stinks!
I don't even know what you call it, the thing that people would heat the house up back in the olden days. It's not a boiler, though the boiler in the house does get super hot, implying the burn thing again. Whatever it is, I'll put an image up. That gets really hot, someone lays their face on it, their face gets melted, because what happens when you burn something that's organic with, liquid and stuff, it melts. And then at the end of the movie, there's another death where it's hot oil being shot out into this giant dirt hole. So what do you think the end result of that is? Somebody melts. whoa, wouldn't have seen that coming. Okay, let me cover my notes. So this movie feels too long, and this movie is pretty lengthy. So this movie is almost 2 hours, but because it's such a drawn out movie, because of the family dynamic of like the dad is an abuser and he's mean, the mom, she believes in her family and is so against anyone else getting involved. The grandma has dementia and she's just kind of there for the ride. So the movie focuses too much on the conflict within the family dynamic, and that really drags. Most deaths in this movie utilize cutaways or shaky camera work, which ruin the scenes for me. Like I mentioned earlier, the son burning in the fire, not much is really going on there. The kid who's boiled in the lake, not much really going on there. The coolest scene was when she walks and his skin falls off his hand, that's it. The other kid at the lake, fish hooks pull him into the water. We don't know what happens, and then he comes up with half his body missing. The dad doesn't really even die initially to then become a deadite. He just witnesses his son kill the pallbearer, which they tried to make a comedy skit out of that whole interaction, and that was stupid. But then the dad shoots a gun off in his head 3 times, which the fact that they were able to like track that very well, that was good. That was impressive. But again, it's like whatever. I don't remember how the mom dies. The grandma becomes a deadite. The mom is deadite adjacent. I think she does become a deadite again too. The girlfriend to the younger brother, she gets a car with. So that scene plays out a little brutal because the dad's being really aggressive trying to kill her, and then he puts the car seat thing through her face. But again, a lot of those shots were kind of funky, so it didn't really have too much impact to me personally. She gets her fingers banged off when the door closes because the dad slams it because she's trying to escape. That was cool, I guess, but then they have the fingers fall off the car door like one at a time in the same kind of speed sequence. So again, that's kind of goofy and ruins the momentum. A lot of the deaths in this movie they don't hold a lot of weight for me. They had a good opportunity when the younger son is getting his back slammed on the dishwasher of just knives and blades, and how he was getting slowly pressed into it. They had the opportunity to really make a very interesting like death scene. But again, they're pulling away from the action. We're not really seeing the injection of these blades into the body. It's just more implied with a hoodie sinking down and it's red. Disappointing. The CGI was not great for the dead brother. It felt like the Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser. So at the end, the older brother who died towards the beginning of the movie, who burned, you see him finally reveal, because he's kind of spoke about as this movie develops. He shows up and he legit looks like the Mummy from The Mummy. Like, it's terrible, terrible CGI. It's like a burnt skeleton with a little bit of skin and his eyeballs perfect, and it just looks terrible. The CGI in this movie is not great, and I don't know what the cause of that is. I know it's not a budget issue. It's clear it has to be maybe a time issue or just a lack of talent on this project. It was bad. Too much humor, and it didn't often work. There's a lot of try hard humor. They really try. The grandmother having dementia, she's always saying something wacky and zany when a deadite is trying to kill them or the family. She's just, none of it really matters to her because she's losing her mind. And then obviously when she becomes a deadite, she doesn't have dementia anymore. She knows everything. It's just stupid. The focus was more centered around the family dynamic than the Necronomicon. I've already kind of said that. These movies are supposed to be about the evil. It's not supposed to be about a family's turmoil. That could be a B plot, sure, but they put way too much weight into that, and it's it just falls apart. It doesn't work for me. The characters are very uninteresting. They're very one-dimensional. Dad's aggressive, one-dimensional. There's really not much to him. Younger brother is scared, and that's it. He's scared, he's weak. He's weak and he's scared. The older brother, Mr. Goody Two Shoes, he's very sensitive, and that's kind of it. Mom is just a hater if it ain't about her family. Grandma's dementia. The younger brother's girlfriend, she's just kind of there. She's literally just there. And then the French girl, all moody and anxiety and depression and all the topical words of today. This is her. She's struggling and she's suffering with this internal battle because she doesn't want to share that she's been abused by her husband because everyone loves him and she's just this dirty French girl, blah, blah, blah. Stupid. Okay, so the final end credit scene is the saving grace of this film. So there's two end credit scenes. There's one before the credits like really roll, and then there's one after all the credits go. So the final credit scene, which I'm thinking of, is we see the daughter Cassie from the previous movie, which I do like, Evil Dead Rise. So she's there with the mortician owner, this older lady. She was with the Paul Bearer stuff. She didn't die, but anyway. I guess she adopted Cassie from the previous movie after her aunt got her out of the apartment complex. So we see Cassie and this lady, and they're talking about the urns of, people's dead ashes. Cassie asks, why do we keep these? And she says, well, some families, some people are abandoned, so we keep these for a month to see if family members will come back and, collect the remains of their family, which I guess is kind of a wink for what occurs. So she leaves, and then she leaves, and then Ellie, the mom from Rise, pops back up, who's still alive somehow. We assume she got put through the wood chipper, but I guess Deadites truly never die without this ceremonious blade that they introduced into Burn, which was just like a shiv from Last of Us. And Ellie pops up, and she says something to her daughter, Cassie, and immediately just snaps her neck in half. And they show it. A lot of these deaths are whack, but they show her killing. Like, she snaps her neck, it splits in two. You see what's going on. Like, it's intense. And that was good. That's probably the only part of the movie truly that I did enjoy, other than the skin coming off the guy's hand from her stepping on it towards the beginning. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, like I said, Burn as the premise for multiple deaths is lackluster / boring. You can call the movie whatever you want to call it, but do not make the title the focus of the deaths. It doesn't work, especially with Burn. Burn is so simple. It's limited in what you can do with a Burn. You gotta, if you really are gonna do Burn, you have to be way more creative with how you are showing the decomposition or the removal of skin and organs and stuff. This movie doesn't do that. So Burn is just, leave it as a title, but you can make it one death, but it should not be the focus of the movie. Evil Dead Rise, maybe the play was they're living in a high-rise apartment, and then that's it. That's all you need. And then the deaths don't have any implications with Rise. It's just in the title. Going to an abandoned mini mansion in the woods was a creatively bankrupt choice. I forgot about that. So after the funeral of the older brother, the family decides to go to this abandoned home, mini mansion in the forest that was given to the younger son. I don't remember why they gave it to him, but he inherited it, I think, from the grandfather who owned it before. And it's literally just a home in the middle of the woods, which I get. It's a callback to what Evil Dead is, a cabin in the woods, a house in the forest, whatever. That was such an eye roll in the theater where I'm like, oh my gosh, really? We're just doing this again. We can't break away from the house in the middle of nowhere. Whatever. So that was what it is. Whatever. The dog death was tame. So I've heard a lot of people be upset with the death of the dog in the movie. The dad takes the fork, he takes a fork and he just starts stabbing the dog in the head. Now, me saying that seems like an intense scene, but it's not. This stabbing is like a very close-up shot of just like fur, and then a fork going into fur with like blood coming out. Obviously, the dog's not going to get killed in the movie. They wouldn't kill a real animal. But can we make it a little more realistic? Like, you just did a close zoom in of a fork pushing into some hair. You could do that with anything. That's not a creative kill. It was intense that the dad just keeps going and going and going, and they're cutting to show people's faces of like, what's he doing? Cutting, going. You hear the dog moan, whimper, whatever. Bang, 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 bang. And then they cut to a shot of the dog laying on the floor. Same dog, right? This is the real dog. You can kind of see it breathing. It's just laying on the floor. The head is turned out of focus of the camera, like it's tilted up, so you don't see the head where the dad was stabbing. No blood on the floor. It was not good. I get it. People are so weak today, and they're so precious of animals that they're like, well, we don't want to see them get hurt. It's a movie. It's not real. But the least you could do is put in more effort to make it look like a dog was really getting stabbed. That was dumb. That's no different from me, act like I'm stabbing somebody, and then I just zoom in super, super close on like a mannequin or one of those like MMA, fake torsos that you punch, and then just putting a knife in it and putting some strawberry jam. It was lazy. It was very stupid. Okay, and then I've already kind of covered this. Most deaths only showed aftermath of damage, but not immediate damage. A lot of the times, the intense moments are cutaways. Before a hit happens, we get a camera shift. Before a severe form of death happens, we get some type of cover-up so that you don't see the initial, interaction of like item to person. There is a scene where a lady grabs a razor, the French girl, and she starts peeling away at somebody's face. In theory, that should look really good, and that should be something they can do great practical effects with. But they missed the cue. It doesn't work. So a lot of these deaths are not impactful for me. And everyone says like, well, if you watch the Terrifier films, you won't like this. Sure, because those are like over the top. But I like so many different types of scary movies and gore and horror. I don't think, if you just dabble with these type of movies, sure, you may come in and enjoy this. But if you really appreciate and respect the craft that goes into making this genre of film, this was just a letdown. This was not good. Strange composition choices, some heart, some awful. So some of the shots are phenomenal. Some of them are. And you can recognize them very, very quickly once the shot shows up, or maybe just the perspective, the overall composition, the angle. There are some very powerful shots in this film, and I cannot understate that. But on the same note, there's a lot of weird shots where it's like they're like zooming away from the family and the camera's kind of like rattling or shaking or zooming in. They do very questionable choices. I don't know where that stems from, but I would say whoever did those specific shots, take them out of Hollywood. Yeah, you can't do this. You gotta get more practice in, because that was bad. This is obviously one of my least favorite movies. And then I jotted down the story of the movie, but I'm okay. If you really want to know, Google it. It's not that good. Okay. I'm interested in the next movie, but maybe I'm not based on how this one turned out. So here's my prediction based on what we know. So in the previous movie, Belle and Cassie, which was the aunt and the youngest daughter, they escaped at the end, making it out of the high rise, or the apartment complex, and defeating the final Deadite, or so we thought. This movie ends with Alice, the French girl who was married to the older brother. She's the final one to get out. She survived, and she's now this strong, unstoppable woman who, she's come to peace with her demons and blah, 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 blah. So what it seems that they're setting up is, since they're making a third movie and this is going to be some type of trilogy, it's going to be that Alice and Beth are going to team up to take down the Deadites, and it's going to be, hardcore girl power hour while they take on whatever comes their way with the Deadites, and the Deadites want that knife, and maybe they're going to stab the book, and that's going to be the end of this version of the Evil Dead franchise. I don't know. I think the mom coming back at the very end is going to be very compelling and is most likely going to push me to watch that film, because she was, for me, the standout role of that movie. This movie, nobody is interesting. Nobody. The characters are so bland. So I don't know what they're going to do with the next movie. I'm interested to at least see a trailer and maybe get a brief synopsis of what it's supposed to be, but it's not positive. It's not looking good. So that is my Evil Dead Burn review. I don't recommend that you go see it in theaters. If you don't watch scary movies, sure. But actually, yeah, if you don't watch scary movies, go see this, because this is pretty tame for like what really is out there. This is not that bad. You'll be fine. If you really are into the genre, you've probably seen this already. And if you haven't, you can wait. You can wait until it's available at home. You don't gotta go to the theater for this.